All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking on what has to be one of the most challenging sources we have ever tried to tackle. Seriously, it's so small, so cryptic, at first glance you'd think there's just nothing there. But you know, sometimes the biggest stories are hiding in the tiniest little pieces.
So, this is it. This is our source. Just 4 words. Go ahead, read it again. This, my, is ridiculous. The grammar is, well, let's just call it one of a kind.
And I'm not kidding. That's the whole thing. The entire source for today's explainer. There's no article, no big document, just this phrase. So the big question is, how on earth are we supposed to explain that?
Okay, so let's dive right in. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to apply our standard, rigorous process to this thing and try to squeeze every last drop of meaning out of it. Let's see what we find.
Right, first step is to look at the stuff around the source. The video title it came from actually gives us a few tiny little clues. First, the channel is Issei. Second, we've got a reference to Inosuke, probably the character from Demon Slayer. And third, the tone is pretty clearly meant to be funny. I mean, just look at those emojis. It's a start, but it's a pretty thin one.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the phrase itself. Grammatically, this thing is a total puzzle. What is it even trying to say? Is it a typo for "this is ridiculous," or maybe something more like "my something is ridiculous"? That "this my" is structure just throws a wrench in the whole thing. We can't even be sure what the subject is supposed to be.
And so, after all of that digging, we land right here. The official definition? Well, there isn't one. The precise meaning is unknown because there is a complete and total lack of context. We've looked at the title, we've wrestled with the grammar, and we're left with basically nothing.
And this is exactly where our normal way of doing things just completely breaks down. You know, when the source itself is a black box, trying to deconstruct it directly, it just doesn't work. We've hit a wall. It's a dead end.
Which, of course, brings us to the real question today. If we can't explain the source itself, then what can we explain? What do we do when the meaning just isn't there? This is where we have to pivot. We've got to stop looking at this as a failure and start seeing it as something else. Something very modern. It's time for a new perspective.
You know what? What if the point isn't the phrase at all? Maybe we've been trying to explain the wrong thing this whole time. What if the real subject here is the absence of context? That void? That's the story. We're not explaining a statement, we're explaining a digital fragment.
And this "my" is ridiculous is a perfect example of one. I mean, think about how memes and viral clips work. They're usually these short little moments, totally ripped from their original context. The phrase sticks in your head because it's weird and nonsensical. It gets shared around, and its meaning, it's not baked in. The meaning gets added later, by all of us.
This is literally how meaning gets created out of thin air online. First, a random fragment appears, then a community finds it and starts sharing it. And through all the inside jokes and references, they build a whole new context around it. All of a sudden, that meaningless phrase has a brand new meaning, one that the community gave it. The meaning wasn't in the source at all, it was created by the audience.
So, that impossible source? It wasn't so impossible after all. It was just acting like a mirror, reflecting a really deep truth about how we communicate now. We don't just sit back and consume content anymore. We're actually part of the team that creates its meaning.
And that's really the big takeaway I want to leave you with. In a world full of these little isolated fragments, these clips, quotes, and images, all separated from whatever they were originally for, who's the real author? Is it the person who first made it? Or is it the community that picks it up and gives it a whole new life? It's definitely something to think about.